Esther for another episode of Saving Time. This week, doing tuna cups. There's a little story behind tuna cups that I'll come to. And a summer side salad, which is really ironic considering it's snowing outside. It is, for the record, May 28th. This is ridiculous. So, just, you know, let's just pretend that it's a normal May 28th and a summer side salad makes perfect sense. It did when I was planning the meal. This week's specials are at Zehrs, and they're fabulous good deals. This is a really nice, easy meal. Most of the things are going to already be in your pantry. I'm doubling it for today, but you can easily half this recipe and then it would be at the original size in truth. I want to do 24 to make sure there's lots to go around. Right off the bat, we need to make up, these are essentially tuna melts, but instead of using like bagels or store-bought English muffins or something like that, we're baking it right in its own biscuit. Delicious, right? Delicious. No store-bought stuff. We're gonna go old school, trust me on this one. I went ahead and put 4 cups of flour in here, mostly to avoid the mess of myself and goofing around with the flour. 4 cups in the bowl right now. All we need to do, making biscuits is easy peasy, okay? If you haven't already, I hear the oven going, it's reminding me to say, preheat your oven to 425. Okay, this is quick, this is easy, you're gonna love it. So, 4 cups of flour, do about a teaspoon of salt. That looks good. I'm gonna call that a teaspoon, about a teaspoon. And 3 tablespoons of baking powder. So, 1 and 2 and 3, and that's it. That's it for that. I'm gonna put this right out of the way so I don't think about it anymore. Grab any spoon and just mix your salt and your baking powder so that it's evenly through the flour. We're not getting carried away here, just making sure that there's some everywhere. Next thing, shortening. On this, I like to use shortening, not butter. I know that usually I'm a big fan of the butter, but for these biscuits, I'm all about the shortening. And I'll tell you what, the flavor isn't, usually I use butter for the good flavor, but in this case, what I want is a flaky biscuit. I'm more concerned, we're gonna have the tuna in there, we're not gonna taste the pastry that much anyway. So use shortening. If lard is what you like and what you have, use that. I always buy Crisco shortening. I don't know, it's the one that I always buy. Any brand will do. You need 2/3 of a cup. And handy for me, I had exactly, and these things always have these clever little measuring things on them. I had exactly 2/3 left on this bar that was in the fridge, so perfect for me. And we're gonna cut it up more, but just cut it into reasonable sized pieces. You don't need to get too worried. We're just gonna dump it in, okay? So 2/3 of a cup in there. If you don't have shortening, use lard. You can use butter, but it's gonna make a tougher biscuit. And on this, trust me, on this one, you want the soft biscuit. I'm gonna get all of that off my hands, sort of. It'll be there for a while, but you know what? If you've got dry skin, that's a great way to clean it up. Now, I brought along today my pastry blender from home, which I love. And if you don't have one, there's an easy way to do this with 2 knives, but something like this is ideal, okay? If you don't have it, you use 2 knives in a kind of karate chop fashion, just like that, and you're going to achieve the same end. I like using this, it's easier. So and you can pick these up just about anywhere now. Gosh, I don't know. Some of them have like almost a wire strap in the ends. I don't like them as well because the shortening or the butter, whatever you're doing, kind of gets stuck in between easier. This just goes really well. What we want to do is break it up until it's crumbly, until it looks kind of like oatmeal, if you think of it that way. So you want it to look like rolled oats. You're just cutting it in so that there's no big parts. And this is different than pastry, where when you make pastry, you want to keep some of those long pieces to keep it flaky. We want to work it in. You're doing biscuits or scones or anything of that sort, really break it down. If you're inclined and you've got lots of those small kitchen appliances and you like to have a reason to turn them on, you can do this step in your food processor and chop it in that way. I often find those machines, they end up, I feel like the cleanup is a lot more work when you use the machines. And this isn't so bad. I mean, this is not going to break me. And if it is, I should have stayed somewhere else sitting down. I might have today anyway with this nasty weather. So this is too simple, and just this biscuit dough, I mean, you can use it for any biscuit. It doesn't need to be reserved for your tuna cups. So anytime you want a nice, quick, easy tea biscuit, maybe with a bowl of soup, like today would be a good day for a bowl of soup, and if you wanted some biscuits with it, you could follow this recipe and get a nice biscuit. And again, just to remind you, half this recipe for 12. I want it to get 24. Now, see how that is? It's all, it's just blended in there. Take a butter knife and just don't waste any. I'm always worried about wasting it. But, why waste it? We've gone to some trouble here and some time, so we don't want it to be wasted. Anyway, you're just gonna have to wash it off if you leave it there. So, that's moving along. Next thing we need, 1.5 cups of milk. Don't get too worried. If you've got 2%, use that. If you've got, it doesn't matter what kind of milk you're using, okay? So 1.5 cups of milk in there. And then get a good sized spoon, and you need to get your milk. Don't go crazy because you'll have it splashing all over the place. Just keep pushing it around until everything is getting wet and it's coming together as a nice dough. Now, I did start off saying I'd tell you a funny story about the tuna cups, and I will right now while I'm stirring this. So my husband has this little bound cookbook that was put together at his elementary school. And so what they had done was everyone put in their favorite recipes, all the families, and some nice person typed it up, and they would have had to type it on a typewriter, and they're all typed up in there and bound up. The page numbers are all off. You can't follow the index. It's really kind of crazy. But this particular recipe, and you know what? I used a typewriter in school, and sometimes you made a typo and you were willing to live with it because it was better than retyping the whole page. And especially those footnotes at the ends of pages, right? You could live with a mistake in there. So anyway, on this recipe, instead of saying tuna cups, the title of the recipe is tuna chops. Well, for the longest time, I didn't even read the recipe because I just kept thinking, ugh. And then one day I read it and went, oh, I think that's a typo. And you know what? It's one of my family's favorite recipes now is to make these. So, but yeah, tuna chops. But I'm sure that there was some kind person giving up all their free time typing up these recipes and thought, it's fine, we're gonna live with that. So you can see we've come together as a dough here. It's all moistened through. How easy is this, right? And don't buy that stuff in a box, that biscuit dough or the tubes or whatever they all are. This is easy. We've got salt, baking powder, flour, some shortening, and some milk in there. Come on, why do something silly? Now I'll tell you, we're gonna get our hands dirty. If you care about your rings and they still come off easily, take them off so you don't get a bunch of dough stuck in them. Mine don't come off easily, and I've learned to live with the fact that I often have a little bit of dough stuck in my rings. I'm okay with it. It's just what it is. It's who I am. So I usually pull your dough all off to one side. And I've got this plastic spoon because I'm gonna let it help me a bit. Put a little bit of flour on your spoon, a little bit on the top. We need to knead it smooth. I need to knead. And my watch always gets caught when I do stuff like this. So tuna chops, here we come. Now you're gonna laugh every time you make it and think about the tuna chops. At home we do call it that. I call it tuna chops. I said to them, I'm making tuna chops, and they were all laughing at me. Okay. I'm going to set that to the side, gather it up. You're going to get messy. Just get past it. And just keep rolling it around, and you're making it stick together. Don't overthink it. Just keep pushing it. So you turn it, you push it. you flip it, you push it. It's just keep doing that. And think of the good arms you're working on here. You're gonna have pipes. Of course I don't, and I do this a lot, but nevertheless, it's good to think of it that way. Call it your exercise regimen if you haven't already done something today. And look at this. Look how nice it's coming away from the bowl. Do not add too much flour, okay? Don't keep adding flour. Don't do it. People always say, oh, I need lots of flour to knead it in. Don't do that. And notice I'm kneading it in the bowl. If you dump it out of the bowl and put it on the counter, you're going to put a bunch of flour there. It's going to make a tough biscuit. Don't keep adding flour. Just do it in the bowl, nice and tidy. Keeps it controlled, and you're gathering up the bits of flour that were still in your bowl anyway. We're going to knead until it's just about smooth. I'm bouncing the table. I'm very strong. You've probably noticed. Well, I'm in the oven for weeks, struggling. Who knew? So there we go. See how nice this is? Look at that. So just keep going until it's smooth, and you're going to know what I mean when it doesn't feel like it's sticking anymore, and it's not. See, it's already in my rings now. And yeah, and that's, I think we're pretty good. You want to be able to, okay, I know it sounds silly, but once it's in your hands, you're going to know what I'm talking about. You want it to feel like a baby's bottom. Okay, I know that sounds crazy, but that is exactly the right feeling for it. Shannon is killing herself laughing. She can't believe I said that. And then don't smack it like that. No. But you're going to know what I mean. You're going to know what I mean. Don't laugh. Well, you can laugh if you want. I don't mind. It's true. When you pick it up, you're going to agree with me. There we go. That's that. Look, the batter's done. I'm going to wipe up my hands again. Keep a towel handy for stuff like this, because otherwise, you get your greasy hands all over the faucets at your kitchen sink. You'll be forever getting them buffed up and shiny again, in case that matters. And now I'm doing 24. So you have a choice here. My method, I think, is easier. That's why I do it this way. You can take the whole thing and roll it out and then cut 24 and gather up your scraps and roll it again and do that. I don't like that method because there's more rolling involved. To me, that feels like more work, more time, and more guessing, because you're constantly going, am I going to get it up? And so what I usually do, and that's making a lot of noise, so I'll just get this again. So what I usually do is cut this into 24 pieces, however many pieces you want to get. If you've decided that you're happy with 18, do 18 pieces, okay? But you're going to just cut it. It's easier, trust me on this one. So that's noisy. So make it reasonable shape. So each of those is 12 now. And each of those is 6. And we can go 2, 4, 6, 8. So I want to get 3 out of each one of those. Make sense? And then I don't have to roll and re-roll and re-roll and carry on. It's just a pain, right? And every time you're gathering it and rolling it, guess what you have to do? You have to keep putting flour on your rolling pin and on your surface. And then you're adding flour, and that's toughening it up. Try to remember, the recipe called for 4 cups of flour. If you keep adding flour and adding flour, you're way over your 4. Look at it that way. So each one of these is going to be 3. So just to make it easier for myself, I'm going to make them into a shape I can cut into 3 equal pieces. And because triangles are a tricky affair, I don't want to deal with the triangles. So tuna chops and our summer side salad. I didn't dare write it because nobody would ever watch the video if that was the actual title. They'd be like me with the recipe in the book. Ew. So summer side salad. I'm going to do watermelon and cucumber, and it would have been fantastic if it was still really hot the way it has been all week. So, but it's still a great salad, and it does look like summertime on the plate. If you're serving this as a supper, I mean, certainly you can do French fries with it or any kind of salad. It all is lovely with it. If your family likes coleslaw or just a leaf lettuce salad, anything at all works. I thought the watermelon and the cucumber was nice. And the watermelon, I got the ones that are already cut into wedges, and they're selling them at Zehrs for 99 cents a pound. And cucumbers are always like right around $1, so how can you go wrong? But you could buy a whole watermelon at Zehrs this week for $6.99, and they look really nice. And if you've got people at home that would eat it all weekend, then yum. So something to keep in mind there. I knew for this recipe that I just need a few pounds. So there they are. So now all we're going to do is I want to cut each one of these into 3 relatively equal pieces. Do not get the scales out and torment yourself, okay? It's all gonna come together. And it's just so that we have them ready to go, and then we can roll each one quickly, easily. We're not going to mess around. So, I don't know, you're gonna know what I mean. This dough is nice. It's nice and soft. It's gonna make great biscuits for you. There. That's it. I'm going to set this bowl out of my way and move this right over here. And for that matter, that can go over there too, and then I won't hit it accidentally. Now, rolling it out. I have a nice 24 tin muffin pan. You've got 2 12s. Just check your oven and make sure that they'll both fit in there side by side. And otherwise, hold half of your dough and roll it out as you get, like once the first ones are cycled through. Mine will fit side by side in mine, and I just have a regular oven at home, so you should be okay. Now, I prepared these little strips of parchment paper. You're gonna love this, trust me on this. I always do biscuits and tarts this way. Anything going into a muffin tin, you're gonna love it. I promise, handy trick, you'll see. I can't demonstrate it yet, we're not there. A little bit of flour. And if you have something that you could use as an eyeball, basically you need the bottom and the sides, right? So these little things are just slightly larger than the cavity. So when we roll it out, we know we want a circle that's just about that diameter. It's that, I mean really, we just don't need to get too concerned about it. Just flip it over, flip it over. I found this rolling pin in the kitchen here, and I'm hoping I'm not going to be unhappy with it. So far, so good. Rolling pins are, you know what? They're very personal business. They can be, right? It's a little heavy. Mine does a little more spinning action. That's pretty good right there. So now, put it on that, like that, and then drop it in. It's sitting on that parchment, and when we finish, we're just gonna lift it up and out. Haha, right? Handy. And if you're a butter tart baker, or really any kind of filled tart baker, you know any hole or opening and the filling gets underneath the pastry and they're impossible to get out. Trust it, these little straps, they work. They work, they work. You can practically press it out with your hand and get it almost far enough. If you feel it starting to stick, flip it, okay? Don't fight with it. If you feel it starting to stick, lift it up, flip it. Don't keep going. Notice how I'm not getting like piles of flour. We don't want to add flour. If it sticks to your surface, just have a knife ready to lift it up, and in we go. And then press it down gently. You don't want to tear it, right? So press it in gently. Look how quick this is. And if you were only doing 12, well, you'd be a sixth of the way along. And you feel free, if you don't mind the idea of the cutting them out, just find a shape, something to use that's going to give you the right size. So you might be hard pressed to find an actual cutter that is a good enough shape for you. And if that's the case, check your glasses and bowls and things like that. Odds are you're going to have something that's going to be just the right size for cutting them out. My mom had a mug that she always used for cutting tart shells. It was the tart shell mug. That's what it was for. It was just the perfect size for them. And this dough is so nice. Just like that. It's easy peasy, and if you had some music on, you wouldn't mind doing this at all, right? Slap it on there, into the tin. So simple. I don't know what I'm doing there, maybe a teaspoon or so of flour each time, and just to keep it loose. If you have like a tile top countertop or something you don't want to roll directly on your counter, wipe your counter so it's good and wet, and then set a piece of wax paper on it, and the wet will hold the wax paper still, and then you'll be able to use that. If you have a silicone mat, that's brilliant for rolling pastry and biscuit dough and such on. These are just little, so we're not getting a terrible mess. If you're rolling a big pie, you end up with flour everywhere. And I'm thinking, okay, so off camera, ahead of time, I hard boiled the eggs that we're gonna need for our filling. And I did that, you don't need to watch me hard boil eggs. And we talked about that, was it just a week ago when we did the potato salad? So again, I made sure I put a little bit of baking soda in the water, boiled them for 10 minutes, and then cooled them really, really fast. This, you know what, you don't need to watch me roll out all of these. Let's go off camera and I'll bring you back when I've got them all rolled. Okay, see you in a minute. All 24 are rolled and in the pan. You can see they look great. If you were only doing 12, you've got half as many and they look just as good. So they're just in there on their little, their little handles there, the parchment handles. We're gonna get busy straight away with our filling now. So these eggs, as I said before, I hard boiled them earlier. They're nice and cold. Give them a rub to loosen them up. And then just that, once really solid, give it a crack like that. There you go. Grab yourself a bowl for compost, okay? It's gonna come back to us as more food and it's garden season. So, I picked up a dozen eggs because I didn't have any left here anymore, but good chance you've got them and you just need 2. So, odds are you've already got that. And what else? The tuna, on sale for $1.49 this week at Zehrs, so that's a great buy. We're gonna use, if you're only doing 12, you only need 1 tin. Everything, just factor it in ratios, okay? So 1 egg to 1 tin, and think of it that way. And see how that's coming away so easily, right? The baking soda, the good long boil, the quick cool. So I got the whole thing, and then we're just doing tuna, egg. We're gonna put some salt and pepper, some cheese, some chives. If you don't have chives, I brought them from my garden again because I've got an abundance right now. Lucky me. I know, right? I'm a little bit bragging about the chives. I love chives. I'm putting them in everything these days. I mash potatoes, I add some chives. They go in everything. And so if you don't have chives though, either chop up, really fine chop up some onion or even a little bit of celery. Really, if you've got something in your house already that you can use just to add a little something to the flavor profile, just use that, okay? But chives or green onion, you know, I like the color, right? It's nice to put the chives in. There we go. That's our eggs. Now, we can move that out of the way for now. Now, just grab a knife. It doesn't need to be a big knife, just a small knife, and start chopping up your eggs. And we want to get a good fine chop on them. So just kind of against the side. I'm looking at the tins of tuna and I'm remembering my grandma always kept an old salmon tin, and she'd have the sharp edge, and she'd use it to cut up the eggs for egg salad. Because, I mean, it was easy, right? And it did a good job. And I wonder if that's where I got my "don't throw that out" behavior. I could use that. So we want to get it chopped up nice and small. Similar Similarly, if you're making egg salad, right? You don't want any big bits. You want it to be cut up nice and small, nice and fine. And plus, we've got to be able to scoop it into our shells here. Now, I hope that you rolled out your shells. It's a little piece from the little membrane thing that's around the outside of the egg and inside the shell. I hope yours rolled out fine. Mine sure did, so I hope yours did too. Super nice and easy to make. There, we're getting there. Sorry, I know it's kind of slow and it's probably really noisy. But what we do now will make it better later. That looks pretty good. Okay, just scrape that. So tins of tuna, buy flaked in water. Be careful that you get the ones that are in water. Don't get the ones in oil. It would ruin your filling. Even though you're draining it, I mean, still, it sticks to it. So go for the ones packed in water. I always get the flaked packed in water. If you get the chunk, you're just gonna have to break it up now. So you suit yourself, but there's no big deal. But just be sure you get in water. I drain these really well. I just use the lid and push down, but you could always dump it into a colander too. I'm always afraid I'll lose some tuna that way, but if you've got a nice fine mesh colander, then that would be okay. Otherwise, like me, and if you have a cat, then your cat would like the stuff that you drain off, right? So maybe you've got a cat that's having a good time right now. My daughter has a cat, and I know she's relatively recent that she's got the cat, and I think she's eating a lot more tuna for that reason herself. I think every meal's got tuna now because the cat likes it, the water off of it. There, just blend it in. And then right now, use your fork, and you can break up the egg a little bit more if you use your fork. And everything's just gonna get mixed up together there. This is now, I'll put it out of my way over there. Now, about 1.5 cups of cheese. So I'm going to, you know I'm just gonna eyeball this, right? You know that's coming. So that's about 1/4. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You know what? You know I'm gonna say it. One more. One more, and then we're gonna add a little bit on top. Obviously, this is goodbye, $3.99, and the bars are as well. And the bars are truly a better deal because I think this is 320 grams, and I think the bar is 400 grams. So, I mean, you're definitely paying for somebody else to grate it. I do it because here I mean, you don't want to watch me grate cheese. So, for yourself though, I mean, having the bar, then maybe that makes more sense because then you can use it for snacks easier. But, same price. Now, I need to cut up my chives a little bit. So we'll get this, and I think, what did I write on there? 3 tablespoons. So we'll see. I probably picked way more than I need. So I just picked these this morning. You know, I brushed the snow off of them. Isn't that silly? You should see the herb garden. I've never seen the herb garden grow as well as it is this year. My goodness, my oregano is the size of a shrub. Like, it's crazy. It's going to be the size of a Volkswagen Beetle if I don't slow it down. It's taking over. It's huge. I've had that patch of oregano now for, this is probably its 4th year, I think, and unbelievable. I've cut way too much chives. I've got 3 tablespoons here, and look how many more are left on the plate. I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking we really wanted chives. You know what? Maybe we'll throw some in with the cucumber and watermelon because we can. It's our recipe. We can do that. We can choose to. I think it would be a lovely little addition. Just toss them in. This is easy peasy. We don't want to waste any, but at the same time, I've got a lot. There. And then we can set that out of the way. And again, give it a little mix through. Whoops. I won't go down that road again, I promise. The whoops road. Holy mackerel, what was going on with me last week? Silly. Okay, there. We just want it to look nice. You just want to get everything evenly blended through there. Mayo, any kind you've got. I'm not a fan of the salad dressing, so I don't go Miracle Whip. I always buy mayonnaise. Your choice. I mean, if Miracle Whip is what you've got, Miracle Whip is going to be just fine. Now we need, I think I wrote down, what did I write down there? I'm a bit of an eyeballer, so half a cup. So I'm going to do 3 good spoons like that, which is probably more than half, but I want to go that much. I'm going to get rid of my fork now. And go right there. And we're going to push it around and we're going to see. We might need to add a little bit more, maybe not, maybe yes. Don't want it too sloppy, okay? Because you got to be able to eat it, right? It's got to stay still in our biscuit cups and biscuit chops. Or chops. Those are some good chops. So, see, now that's, I want it to be just, you want it to stick together, but I think I'll go just a tiny bit more. Just a tiny bit more. And now I wish I hadn't got that spoon dirty. Ha, Margot. So we'll go in. I'm just gonna do that. Now I'm gonna have to wash this spoon, right? Oh my goodness. Big deal. Now my oven is at temperature now, and hopefully yours is close, because all we have to do is spoon this into those and we're going to be ready to go. Now, there's all that. Little salt and pepper. That's good shape. And now we got some mayonnaise on my fingers, so I won't go for that. I hit it when I did that. And there, some pepper. You can always add it to the table, right? Okay, but we can't take it away once it's in there. So, that. Look at that. See how nice it looks? And we've got cheese in there already. It's gonna get all melted and be delicious. Close this up so I quit thinking about it. Now, I'm gonna wipe that because I want a nice clean spot to set this. Now I brought this little scoop of mine. You might have something like this. I like it. Obviously you can use 2 spoons, like put it on one and push it off with the other. This is just a fast way to do it. And just, I think this one was originally sold for meatballs maybe, or something like that. And if we go along and we have not enough, then we'll have to steal from Peter to pay Paul. And otherwise, if we have too much, then we can always add a little bit more, right? We'll see how we go. So just start out this way and give them each, you know, a good scoop, and then we'll see where we're at. If we can be more generous or if we have to be less generous. It happens sometimes. These are so tasty. They're only going to be in the oven for like 10 minutes, 10 to 15. It's going to depend on your oven. You want them to, we want to see our biscuit bake, right? So that's all we're looking for. And 10 minutes is going to go by in a heartbeat. I'm going to use those 10 minutes to cut up our watermelon and cucumber. If you were doing French fries or something like that, you would have had to start them in the oven ahead of this, just to time it out. But honestly, this is such a nice, easy meal. That one looks shy. This is such a nice, easy meal. Anything goes with it. I mean, you could even like have some soup with it if you wanted to, and just have these with soup. So anything at all is going to be great for filling it in, filling it out and making it something. And these are just as tasty at room temperature. Ah, gee, I'm going to have a hassle. And I am debating. What have we got? We got 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 21. I'm going to get 22. Gee. I don't know if I want to steal that much out of some, or I'm all, Could have fixed this with more mayo and made it go a little further. I think what I might do is say that 22 is going to be enough for my purposes, because it doesn't matter, right? I mean, it was just to make a nice even number. but I don't see any that look overly full. Like that one looks shy as it is. This guy has a little more than he needs. So who was shy? That guy's shy. And this one's got lots, so he can go there. I think I might live with 22 and bake the other 2 as biscuits. And then you'll see what a nice biscuit it is anyway. Oh, Shannon's pointing at the cheese. What a good idea, Shannon. I'll put a little bit of cheese on it and we'll have nice cheese biscuits. And maybe that'll be my lunch today. So there. So see, we just have to run with it. Unless you've got 24 people and you were giving them 1 each, this is a non-issue. Okay? Hopefully you're not having 24 people over and that's what you were giving them. We each get 1. There. Do they all look pretty equal to me. Okay. So, I don't want to waste it. Not when it's become so precious to us. There. Okay. Now these. To bake them as a biscuit, we need to lift it out. We're gonna make a little pocket out of it. Look at that. We're gonna make it like a little, I don't even know what canopy. Looks so fancy. We're making canapes now. We'll put some cheese in there, a little bit more, and just twist it up like that. And then look at the little pocket we made, right? It's cute. And now a little bit of cheese in that one, and in there, and twist it up. Look at that. Problem solved. It was a short problem. I'm not gonna let it irritate me because good chance you don't have 24 people. And as I said, we could have made that go a little further by just adding a little bit more mayonnaise. And if you really did want the 24, dump it all back in the bowl, stir in some more mayonnaise and start over. No big deal. This is it. 10 to 15 minutes. 10 to 15 minutes. You know what? Let's do a tiny bit more on top. 10 to 15 minutes is all it's going to take. Don't go too much because you know what will happen if you go too much on there? It's going to get all over your muffin tin and then you're going to have a hard job cleaning it up. Just make sure it stays inside. So this is no time to get wild and just throw the cheese across. You're just going to create hard work later. Make sure it's staying inside your little muffin cup. And there. Like that. These look so good and you're gonna love them. You're gonna love them. Your muffin, your tuna chops. You're gonna laugh when you're eating them thinking about tuna chops. You will. Make them just for that reason so you laugh while you eat them. We could all use a laugh. I dare you to tell people, you know, I'm making tuna chops for supper. See what they say. Yeah, okay, one more. There, yum. In it goes. Okay, and I will not try to open the oven. Although now you know I am actually really strong. I'll hope I don't put my foot in my mouth. No, I was, good. Ah. In it goes. Middle rack of the oven, okay? And in. I've got 12 minutes on my timer because it's 10 to 15 and 12 splits the difference. So there we go. That's done. Now, this is just dishes. We don't even have to think about it right now. This is going to be, it's my, all I did was cut chives on that, so I'm happy to cut the watermelon and cucumber on that, and I don't feel the least bit worried. It's gonna be fine. And you know what? Get our cheese over here out of the way. Mayonnaise out of the way. We don't need these anymore. There, now I can think. I get too many things out and it does confuse me. No kind of about it. So, watermelon and cucumber. What a wonderful mix. What a wonderful mix. These two go together like crazy. Now, a great way to think about things that go together is, I've heard it or read it, I don't even know when, but what grows together goes together. So if you think about the summer garden, your watermelon and cucumbers are growing at the same time. What grows together goes together, okay? Think about that and use that as a guide for, can I put these things together? Nice and easy. You know what? Nature knows what it's doing. I'm getting rid of this rind because we obviously don't want that. And good for the compost, right there. We're feeding our compost pile. If you want to be picky and take out the seeds, you can go for it, or maybe you want to buy a seedless watermelon, even easier. And either way, we've got to just take that off. And this is all going to get mixed up into the bowl together. And if you have, when you go to plate it later, if you wanted to, you could drizzle it with a little balsamic vinegar, or sprinkle it with some feta cheese. Anything like that will go. It's lovely just the way it is. But if you want it to dress it in some way, or, you know, fancy it up, that's a bit of a shame, isn't it? Yikes. Should have bought the whole watermelon. That's the shame of, you know, the packaged things. I'm not going to get too worried about the seeds. I'm just going to take out the ones that I can see plainly, okay? I think that we don't need to be too worried. I'm not going to bend myself over it. Ha! Now, I got this nice pretty bowl out for our salad. Now, think about bite-sized pieces, okay? Because you want them to be nice. You don't want big, heavy chunks of watermelon and cucumber in there. You want people to be able to pick them up with their fork and eat it. This was a nice thick slice, so I'm gonna do that. This, again, just to make it so that it's bite-sized, okay? So it's a reasonable size for someone to eat straight up. We don't need knives on the table for this meal. And for that matter, if you've got some spinach or arugula floating around, and more so when these are growing in your own garden, but if you have some spinach or arugula, make it for a nice bed for your salad, and then put it on a platter, and it would look lovely, right? If you had a big, lay out your arugula or your spinach on the plate and then put this all on top of it, it would look great. And taste good too. Arugula would be especially nice because it's got that peppery kind of thing going on. I just really tormented myself about that, after saying I wasn't going to torment myself about it. Look how much we're getting here for just, well, I think this package was $3, so 3 pounds, because it was $1 a pound. Let's see a seed. I have, when I buy seedless watermelon and do this, I'll tell you what, because I kind of miss the look of the seeds a little bit. They look nice. And I have been known to sprinkle a few poppy seeds in there, just to give the, you know, the kind of look of watermelon seeds, without it being watermelon seeds. There we go. Easy peasy, easiest salad in the world to make. And this is great, like if you pack lunches for people in your house, making up some of this and just putting it in a dish to take, what a refreshing treat in a lunchbox. The watermelon and cucumber together, so tasty. No, they're gonna ask you to do that all the time if you do it once, right? Maybe you don't wanna do it once. Oh, come on, make them delicious lunches. And there we go, I'll just get rid of that. Wipe up my hands. Look how fast this is. That looks yummy. Now, I opened up this a little bit before. Cucumbers, wrapping them in the plastic like that. It's kind of a drag, but what do you do? It's otherwise they shrivel up. So that's going to be stuck to me for quite a while. Okay, come on you. This is the longest part of the video right here. Me trying to get the plastic off the cucumber. Can you imagine? If this is my biggest problem today, I'll be all right. There, I feel oddly relieved. There we go. End off. Now again, I would be tempted, this is This end is nice and narrow, so we can do it like that, but when it gets thicker, cut it in half, and then slice like that. And then do it again. I'm not peeling it. I mean, you suit yourself, but I'm not peeling it. I don't need to. I never peel cucumbers. I know some people always do. I never do. I've got no problem with this, with the rind. I don't really know what bothers people about it. In she goes. In she goes. Look, this is gonna look so pretty. You're gonna, mark my words, you're gonna love this. And you know what? If you get invited to somebody's house, you lucky duck if they have a pool and they say, come on over, have a swim. This is the easiest thing in the world to make up to take somewhere. This, and like I say, if you wanted to do some dressing or if you want to sprinkle some feta cheese on there, either way it's delicious. And it looks like, now you know why I called it a summer side salad. Doesn't it look like summertime in the bowl? It really does. And looking out the window is just gross. I'm feeling a little sour about what's happening outside. I'm getting a little peeved. You know what? We talked about adding some chives, and I've got them, so I say why not? And oh look, I'm a little bit tempted to put that on the top. They're not quite open because I'm early with them, but we'll stick a couple on top for the good look. Just do a few. We don't want to have a whole lot, but we can do a few in here. The ones that have the flowers on them are tougher, obviously, because they're closer to being done. So then we'll get away from them and use these ones. I think I talked last time about how the blossoms are in fact edible and very pretty to look at. And there. I'm going to call it a day. In she goes. And there. Okay. Wipe my hands again. So what? Look at this. This is the easiest thing ever. We're practically done. Those are going to come out of the oven. We'll be ready to go. I'm going to give that a good mix around. Let's get all of that into my compost bowl. And that'll go out. There. And I want those just in case. I'm thinking that they'll look pretty on top. I'm going to cut off the tails just to make it fancy here when we're all done. There we go. Now, I use the spoon I was going to use for that, but I've got this one. There's an eggshell. There. I'll just use this for now since it's here and I need something now. Mix it all through. And if you had your poppy seeds or anything else, you'd be mixing it through. I really, if you've got some spinach or arugula that you can dress it up with, even line the bowl. My mother-in-law does that a lot. She'll fill the bowl with like with the lettuce and then put another salad on top of it, and it always looks like $1 million, right? It's very fancy. Very fancy. There. That's it. That's our beautiful summer side salad right there. Looks so pretty. Let's tuck these in, and then we'll know that we've been particularly fancy. There. Now let me check the timer and see how much we've got left on here. 2 minutes. I'm going to have a little peek and see. Oh, they look beautiful. You know what? I think they're done. Yay! So I'm going to go straight over to my cooling rack here. I'll get Shannon to have a look at them as I pass by. Okay. This is a little tricky to get a hold of. There. Look at these. Look at that. Aren't they pretty? I'm just going to set them in here for a minute to cool a little bit. We lift them out right now. Those biscuits are going to be pretty flexible. We're not going to eat this one, but I just, whoops. Okay, you must like that I admit all of these mistakes, right? I'm constant, and I hope that that lets you know that making mistakes in the kitchen is just part of the game. Stuff spills, stuff falls. Sometimes we have enough, sometimes we don't. Sometimes there's too much. It happens. Get over it. Just get food on the table. Don't sweat the small stuff, okay? Give me a minute. I'm going to clean up a couple of things and then we'll get those out of the pan. I'm going to say 2-3 minutes to cool. Okay, here we are. Look at this beautiful meal we just made. Honestly, the things that I had to pick up particular for today, so that was the tuna, I got a dozen eggs, grated cheese, and the watermelon and the cucumber. I only spent 12 bucks. The other stuff, like $12, honestly. Look at how much food we've got here. The other stuff I had on hand, and good chance you do. So it's, you know, this is a lot of stuff that you probably already have. Let's get busy. Those are the cute little cheese pockets. Here at the end, we're calling them cute. And here, look at this. Aha, see how it comes out? Isn't that nice? And then just pluck it off. Ah, so easy, right? Isn't that nice the way it works? Sometimes they're short. That's because I'm cheap. If you wanted to use a slightly larger piece of parchment, then you'd have a higher handle to get a hold of. And just take them out like that. I think odd numbers always look nicest, so I'm putting 3 on the plate. And then some salad, and then there's lots to go around. Obviously, I've done enough for 6 each, so we've got tons. And then make sure you get a good mix of your cucumber and watermelon, and think about 4 people, so we've got lots here to go around, and there. Place it ever so artfully. Look at this. Honestly, I spent $12 on groceries, and you've got plenty. You've got this much, like 3 more of those for 4 people. So 12, 4 people, $12, $3. This is nothing. This is absolute. This is a beautiful, nice summer meal. These are equally good at room temperature. You're gonna love them. These sales go until Wednesday of next week, so June 2nd. So make sure you get in there, get them. The good buys. The tuna is especially, tuna in your cupboard. That'll last forever. Go grab some of those. Good buy. Flaked in water, okay? In water. Make sure to use this recipe. You want the in water. Please, when you watch the video, hit like, subscribe to the Westminster Orangeville channel, and hit the little bell in the corner so that you get notified each week when new videos come up. Zehrs donated all of the things that we needed here today. They do it generously for me every time I ask, and they pretend that they don't flinch when they see me coming, which is very gracious of them. And what a beautiful meal we did. I'm going to be packaging this up and taking it out to 2 families this week to share it around. Whether they're having it for their lunch today or maybe for their supper tonight, I don't know, and I don't mind. I just want somebody to eat all this beautiful, good food. I hope that you're going to try this recipe. Tuna cups with summer side salad, tuna chops if you want to have a laugh with your family, okay? And go ahead, have a laugh. Again, thank you very much for tuning in and watching each week. This is beautiful food. Enjoy it. Bon appetit. Enjoy your dinner.